Welcome to all of our alumni and friends joining us this afternoon, this evening, wherever it is you're Zooming from. I'm Zooming from Queens in New York City. My name is Greg Leverati. I'm Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at Baruch. Please put in the chat where you're Zooming from. I know we have a very international RSVP list, and it's great to see our alumni joining us from all across the world. We've had some events where alumni are from Australia, Asia, and I know we have a lot of people in Europe, Middle East, and Africa here for our EMEA event. So thank you so much for joining us. Very excited to kick off this event. We're joined by Christine Mwangi, who's going to be presenting today about New Year, New You, building a powerful mindset. Oddly enough, Christine, within the last hour, has had a power outage over where she is in Nairobi, I believe. And it's going to, so she looks a little dark right now with the lighting. But once the presentation gets underway, she may turn her camera off just to conserve power. So just wanted to let you all know that. But hey, thanks to this technology, we're able to do this to begin with. So we can't get too down on that. So thank you again for joining us, everyone. I'd like to now introduce Janet Rossbach, Director of Alumni Relations and Volunteer Engagement, who can talk a little bit about the Baruch EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa Network. Janet?
Thank you so much, Greg. Yes, good to see you all. Happy New Year. We in Alumni Relations are dedicated to providing opportunities for alumni to connect across the world, across industries, within companies, and with shared interests and affinities. We have over 160,000 alumni worldwide. And when I first joined Baruch, President Wallerstein was very focused on our international engagement. And so we started hosting events in a few different places, including London and Paris and Tel Aviv and Dubai. When the pandemic came around, our alumni in Israel, who are always on the edge, cutting edge of innovation, said, hey, we're all in the same time zone, give or take, the same 3 time zones across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We have 2,000 plus alumni in the region. Why don't we start coordinating programs? And thus the EMEA network was born. I am truly grateful to Elia Vaknin and Alex Shaikat, who have been stewarding this international network. And we're truly keen to create greater connections across the community. And with that, Alex, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you so much, Janet. First of all, good evening to everyone, and good day for whoever's joining from the East Coast or from the US. It's interesting because, first of all, I see some familiar names and faces from the previous event. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of the network. You know what? It's just our second event, official event of the Baruch EMEA network. But it's the first one for 2022, and we are starting with a bang. I think this event is going to be amazing. It's going to be very interesting. Thank you, Christine, for doing this and for presenting it to us with all the difficulties where, with the weather and the power outage. We appreciate this. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this, and please stay tuned for a lot of new events and things that we're working on. Have a great year, everyone, and thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Alex and Janet. Thanks again to all of us for being here. I'd like to now introduce Christine Mwangi, who's going to be speaking. Christine serves as the Secretariat Director of the Bloomberg Media Initiative Africa, Financial Journalism Training Program at Strathmore Business School in Nairobi, Kenya. Before that, she was the founding Deputy Director of the Center for Public Policy and Competitiveness and the founding Program Director of the Master in Public Policy and Management Program at Strathmore Business School. Christine teaches in executive education programs related to leadership, sustainability, climate change, and public policy. She is also a certified life coach, specializing in mindset and high performance. Through her coaching institute, she works with young people and professionals and supports them as they navigate their career paths, personal ambitions, and relationships. And this topic is going to be particularly interesting as we begin 2022, and so many different challenges that we're facing and stresses that we're facing. How can we get in the right mindset as we approach this year? A few quick ground rules for everyone. Please mute your microphones during the presentation so that we don't get any distracting noises. You can leave your cameras on though. We love to see our alumni smiling faces. And please direct all questions to the chat. We'll be monitoring that. And then at the end, during the dedicated Q&A, we will try to get to as many as we can. That being said, I'd now like to introduce Christine Mwangi. Christine?
Thank you, Greg. And thank you, Alex, for inviting me to make this presentation. I'm sorry, we have heavy rains here in Nairobi, and so I just had a power outage. And in the spirit of resilience and powerful mindsets, I had prepared for any eventuality, charged my phone, charged my computer, and kept my spirits up in case of anything like this. And so we'll still proceed. I'm sorry, I'll have to switch off my camera when I begin the presentation just to conserve my battery, but I'm hopeful that by the time we get to the questions and answers, the power will have been back. So I am an alumni of Baruch. I did my MPA in 2010, and Baruch has a very special place in my heart because of my first introduction to the US was through New York City, which is really special. And I met amazing faculty, amazing students, and my colleagues in my classes, and that was the launchpad for my career. So I'm very happy to be doing this, and thank you all for coming. So I'm going to switch off my camera now. And I'm going to begin the presentation. Okay. So, so this topic about a new year, a new you is, as Janet said, is very topical because of what we've all experienced around the world over the last few years. I know many of us thought that we had really planned out our lives. We know what's going to be happening in the next 4 or 5 years, but then suddenly this pandemic hits and we're blindsided, and we are faced with a lot of anxiety and fear. And even now with Omicron coming into play over the last few months, we've seen how it has ravaged some cities across the world, and we don't know what the next few months will hold. So this presentation is really about a discussion on how we can be prepared for situations that are beyond our control, and really focus on the things that are within our control, which is essentially the choices we make and the mindsets we embody. So what I'll begin with, so how we'll go through this presentation is I'll begin with an introduction and then discuss what mindset is and what mindsets are. Then look at mindset blocks, what these are and how they affect you, how you can master your mindset by putting together strategies to create a healthy mindset and to build one. And then I will give you my top 3 mindset rituals, that can help you continue to sustain a powerful mindset in times of anxiety and uncertainty. So the Buddha said that, what you think you become, what you feel you attract, and what you imagine you create. I know sometimes we see these kinds of quotes and they look really nice and they look very philosophical, but can you imagine if this, I really think this is true, but can you imagine if it was, you believe that it was 100% true, what the implications of this would be? How would you behave? How would you think then? And how would you manage how you feel? So the purpose of this conversation is really to get you to the point where you see that what you think you do become, what you feel you do attract, and what you imagine you do create, And Einstein once said that, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. So that just tells us how powerful the way that we think and the way that we condition our minds is important for how powerful it is for the outcomes that we experience in our lives. So now we've seen what the pandemic has done to us over the last couple of years. And the World Economic Forum usually releases reports every year about the top risks that are likely to occur in around the world in the next few years, in the next year. They make predictions. And every time they've made predictions about health crises, cyber attacks, extreme weather, I think we've just taken it into advisement, but really under advisement, but really never taken it very seriously. But the last few years have shown us that some of these things are very likely to happen and to occur. We see that they said in this report that was released a couple of days ago that climate change is going to be a big concern over the next couple of years. So we don't know what climate change disasters and extreme weather events will look like. Our heavy reliance on the digital world, digital technologies, will expose us to cyber attacks. The effects of climate action failure will lead to, social challenges with social cohesion, inequality, exacerbate inequality that we are envisioning in witnessing in other countries. And so now, because we have seen what the pandemic has done, and we are getting this kind of analysis from places like the World Economic Forum, it just tells us that the world is not as predictable as we thought it was. And there's a term that now is being used, VUCA, where the world is increasingly becoming volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and complex. This is exactly what is happening right now. And this is a term that came from the military. What happens during the fog of war? You don't know what's going to happen next. It's unpredictable. And yet we still have to make decisions in our homes and in our lives that help us kind of propagate our lives and continue to live and preserve our well-being. But how do we do that when we don't know the impact our decisions will have, and we don't have enough information about situations? For example, at the beginning of the pandemic, we really didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know the impact of this pandemic on our lives and in our businesses and in our families. We have lost loved ones, we've lost businesses, we've lost jobs. And as you have seen earlier with the World Economic Forum kind of predictions, we don't know what the next crisis will be like. So this is kind of the world we live in right now. And this is obviously requires us to have a different set of competencies to enable us to live in this kind of volatile and complex world. The World Economic Forum research process involves getting sentiments, risk sentiments from around 1,000 CEOs around the world. And a lot of them, more than half of them, are concerned about the future of the world. This is very telling. It tells us that it's not business as usual. We're living in a new normal. And so the things that are going on now, the uncertainties we're facing, and even before the pandemic, we had Brexit. We had a lot of concerns about the political and democratic process in the US. So, and around the world, we have increasing divisions. And so if world leaders and people who work hand in hand with customers, with clients, with suppliers, governments are concerned about the future of the world, it just tells us that uncertainty and volatility is here to stay. So this is just to tell us that the world is not, the pandemic was not a one-off event. We live in a very precarious world. We're not in total control of everything. And so we should be really expecting the unexpected. And that is kind of the new normal. So that is the purpose of those few slides, just to show that this might not be the end of the kind of uncertainty that we're experiencing. And so if we have anxiety, we have fear, we have concerns, we have debilitating fear or anxiety, then it might be a way of life, and that is not healthy. And so it's just to kind of accept that the world is uncertain and volatile, and that we just have to embrace different ways of being in this new world. So in line with that, there's Viktor Frankl, who was a psychiatrist and philosopher, and he was in about 4 Nazi concentration camps. He was a Holocaust survivor. He lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his parents. And yet he still stayed positive, and he wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning, and amongst other books. And he said that forces beyond your control can take away everything you possess, except your freedom to choose to how you will respond. So you can imagine a situation like that. And yet this man still had the resilience and the courage to find something positive in those very, dire situations. How much more opportunity do we have to really be positive in the context that we're facing, in the context of the world that we live in right now? So it's just to emphasize that our choices, our decisions, and how we respond to situations determines our outcomes. And this is determined by the quality of our thinking. So I'll get into what a mindset is. And a mindset is really the kind of beliefs that you have dominating your mind. And these predominant beliefs shape the way that you interact with the world. It kind of is your world view, the way you feel and think about yourself and the world around you, your environment, the situations you find yourself in. And this influences the way you think, feel, and behave in any given situation. So there are different kinds of mindsets. I'll focus on just a few, but essentially it is what the predominant flavor of the thoughts that occupy your mind, and then the kind of actions that consequently arise out of that. So there's a psychologist from Stanford who came up with a concept of growth mindsets and fixed mindsets. And growth mindsets, people with growth mindsets believe that they can grow, that the intelligence that they have, their creativity, innovation is malleable and can be developed. It's not something that's fixed. And so they have a tendency to want to embrace challenges, embrace change, they persist in the face of setbacks. And you can imagine how such a mindset would be beneficial in a time of volatility and uncertainty. On the other hand, we do have people with fixed mindsets who believe that, that what they've learned or how far they've come and their competencies are static, that they have done the best that they can, and this is where they are really is the best that they can do. And so they want to maintain the status quo. They don't like changes, they don't like challenges, and so they avoid them. And sometimes you'd think, as we're talking about this, you'd think that, oh, well, it's obvious. Nobody would admit to having a fixed mindset, but you would see it in their behavior. They don't want to take up new, if they have a position of leadership, they don't want to be challenged by juniors. They don't want to take on challenging assignments. They want to maintain things as they are. They don't want to cause any friction or to put themselves in situations where more is demanded of them. And so as leaders and as individuals who are looking forward to growth and increase our well-being and support our families, it's essential that we embody growth mindsets, especially during times of uncertainty. Another approach to mindset is the locus of control approach. Sometimes some people would have an external locus of control and others have an internal locus of control. And this essentially means that people who have an external locus of control believe that the outcomes that happen in their lives are influenced by other people. It's determined by the environment, determined by fate, by their genes, or determined by their background. It's really not in their control, and they kind of have to suffer the consequences of the fate that they're destined. It's kind of predestined. Whereas people with an internal locus of control believe that the outcomes that they have are within their power. They're totally accountable and responsible for the outcomes they experience in their life. So that is determined by their hard work, their decisions, their personal, the attributes that they have, their capabilities, their competencies, and those can be developed. So you can see how if you believe that the world outside determines your fate or your destiny, how devastating it can be when the world outside you changes. If the government changes, if there's a pandemic and you have to be locked down, if you're fired from your job. And that's why you find some people kind of crash and find it really hard to recover and kind of regroup in situations such as these. And so an internal locus of control is extremely important, where we feel that our capabilities are dependent on our efforts, on our hard work, similar to what is in a growth mindset. So another perspective on mindset is what Robin Sharma, in his book, The Everyday Hero Manifesto, which is his latest book, describes as the scarcity mindset and abundance mindset. So the people who have scarcity mindsets are prone to kind of hoarding. You feel like the world is contracted. What you have, you just have to preserve and conserve. You want to keep all the opportunities to yourself. You don't want to share information. It's all about survival. You detest competition. Anybody who's competing and even almost doing better than you or even doing better than you is a rival. You just want to take and take and take. It's aggressive and kind of adversarial. It's an adversarial relationship with the world, where any threat to your current situation is all you feel like it's detrimental. Any threat is not an opportunity for growth, rather it is actually a risk of your entire survival. So this people with this kind of mindset, or who see the world this way, are prone to a lot of anxiety because they want to control everything. Are prone to depression, stress, health problems, mental health issues, because it's very difficult to live in this kind of world where you just want to keep everything, all the cards close to your chest and wanting the world to stay kind of static. And that's not realistic. That's not the way the world works. It may work like that for some time, especially for people who are in positions of power, but it's not sustainable. So to get to the other side where there's abundance, an abundance mindset, where Robin Sharma calls it the prosperity galaxy, to get across that, you have to be brave. It takes a lot of courage to kind of let go, to say that, for instance, if you lose your job, you lose a position, you lose a promotion, or you lose a business deal or a client, or whatever opportunity that you thought was yours, guaranteed, you kind of lose it. It takes a lot of courage to accept that the loss in the first place, and still have gratitude, still be generous, still be willing to learn, and still be willing to grow. So it's similar to the growth mindset and even the external locus of control, where you believe there's abundance, there's enough of everything for everybody. We all have access to the opportunities, the jobs, the business opportunities, the money, the promotions, the appreciation, and then this leads us to situations where we can make an impact in the world. So an abundance mindset is one that needs to be crossed, to be arrived at by being brave and courageous, and by letting go, not by hoarding. And yet, in a culture where success may be determined by how aggressive and how protective you are, and how you can crush the competition, this might be a very difficult concept to stomach. But it definitely, when you see the world in a way where there is a lot of abundance and opportunity, then it opens your mind up to innovation. It opens you up to creating opportunities. You stop seeing the world as limited, and even your own capacity for innovation and creativity expands. That is why an abundance mindset is so important, because it actually creates room for expansion. And that's where creativity kind of thrives. So T. Harv Eker, who wrote he wrote a book on how Millionaire Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. He said that where your attention goes, energy flows and results follow. And this is especially important when it comes to what we pay attention to in this kind of context of pandemics and volatility and uncertainty. When we pay attention to things that deplete our energy, when we pay attention to a lot of the news, a lot of the scary statistics, and it's not to say to be ignorant about it, but if that's where your attention goes, then your resources, your cognitive resources are depleted by spending all your energy in investing in that, and yet then the results will follow, which usually is kind of depression, sadness, anxiety, and it contracts your ability to be creative and to think. So it's very important to kind of guard your own attention, because you will invest your energy into those things that you're paying attention to, and then the results automatically will be consistent with what the kind of the things that you're paying attention to. So if it's negative news, negative events, or negative activities, then definitely the results that will follow will be similar. So I want to talk about mindset blocks and the things that cause us to have either the fixed mindsets, have an internal locus of control, and kind of have scarcity mentalities. The common mindset blocks are doubt. And doubt is very powerful because doubt causes inaction. I'll give an example of climate change. So we have heard a lot about what's going on around the world, and we can see the extreme weather events. We can see temperatures becoming the highest on record, rainfall becoming the highest on record, snowstorms, the most powerful, the most destructive on record, and fires. But then again, we have people who are saying that that's just the way the world is, and it's just nature, and there's nothing really changing. There's no such thing as climate change. What that has happened, those two different arguments have caused doubt. And when we have doubt, you would think that human beings would obviously see what's going on and take action, but it's become very difficult to take action because of the doubt that has been fostered. And you can imagine in our own lives, if we have doubt about the direction that we're taking. So if you have ambitions in a career, you have ambitions of starting a business, but then you're not sure it's the right thing. You're not sure if it will work out. You're not sure, you have no sense of certainty. That definitely will lead to inaction. And when that happens, then you can't grow. And then that forces you to kind of have a scarcity mindset where you want to preserve what you have at all costs. There's no expansion, there's no room for growth, and there's no creativity and no room for innovation. And so doubt is a very powerful detractor, an obstacle for our own growth and for our own healthy mindsets. And we should be on the lookout for doubt. And so another mindset is fear. Fear enables us, it kind of forces us to stay stuck. You've heard them say, you've had people say that everything you want is on the other side of fear. Growth never really does happen in your comfort zone. And your comfort zone means that you have to get outside of what you are familiar with and explore new things. Whether it's a new position, whether it is a new skill, whether it's a new language or a new environment, fear, we will never grow beyond our current situation if we have fear. So if you're trying to develop your mindset, and yet you've got all these concerns and anxieties and fears, it will always hold you back. Yes, so fear, similar to doubt, really holds us back and contracts our lives and doesn't enable us to expand. Another thing is limiting beliefs. And limiting beliefs can be beliefs that we've had about ourselves or been told by other people that force us to to kind of want the status quo to remain. Or you believe that you don't have the capacity to do something that requires you to grow. So you believe that, oh, you know what, in my family, we're not really academics. I really can't go and get a degree or get a PhD. I can't really work in that job because I'm not really aggressive. I'm not a salesperson, or I really don't know I don't have excellent communication skills. I'm really shy. I'm introverted. So those are beliefs, those are things we believe about ourselves. Sometimes other people have told us, sometimes we have believed it ourselves, sometimes we have had experiences that were negative. We tried something new, it didn't work out, and then we now are convinced that is the way we are, and so it holds us back. So we need to explore what our limiting beliefs are. What are the things that we keep telling ourselves about the way that we are that have forced us to stay in the situations we are in? What are the things that we have experienced that have made us believe that we're supposed to stay stuck, Or if maybe it's, for example, I'll give an example of someone who's probably in a bad job or a bad marriage, and you just feel like, oh my God, I'll never get another job, or I don't have the qualifications necessary to really get the same kind of job I have right now, or if I leave this relationship, I'll never find someone else to love me, things like that, which really keep us stuck. So these are the most powerful mindset blocks that are prevalent in our society. And thoughts and feelings, the way that we think and the way that we feel about things, when we combine that with action, we get results. So thoughts and feelings are very powerful. The way we think about things and then the feelings we associate with them, whether it's the kind of trepidation or fear or resentment or anger. When we have those thoughts and feelings and we combine them, we are then prompted to take action based on those thoughts and feelings, and then we get the results that we get. So if we have negative thoughts or unpleasant feelings, we will definitely be prompted to take action that is not in our best interest. So as much as in our society, sometimes emotions have been, downplayed, feelings have been downplayed. They are very powerful. They're the things that actually force us to put brakes to our ambition. So for instance, if you're called to make a big presentation around 200 people or 250 people, or you're called to kind of pitch an idea or present yourself for a promotion, you probably have the competency, you probably have the skills, you probably have the qualifications, and you probably have the track record. But the thing that will hold you back is definitely going to be feelings and your thoughts about the situation. So no matter what your capacities are, no matter how competent you are, if your feelings and thoughts are negative or sad or anxious or depressed, or you feel like you don't qualify or you don't kind of make the mark, you will act in accordance with those feelings. It is not about your competence or capability. So it's very important to pay attention to the predominant feelings and thoughts that we have, whether they're driven by doubt or fear or any perceptions we have of ourselves, because they end up causing us to take action, and it's very subconscious, and then we get the results that we get, which are maybe not in our best interest and contradict the visions that we have for ourselves and our future. So I'm going to talk about strategies that we can put in place to deal with these mindset blocks, which are doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs, just to mention a few. And one of them, the most important, is really clarity of purpose and goals. If we don't know where we're going, and we don't know who we are and who we ultimately want to be and what we want to be known for, recognized for, what we want to contribute to the world, then any situation that arises that is unexpected will throw us off course. And then we'll find ourselves in situations and places that we didn't really envision ourselves to be in. So really the first thing to protect your mindset is really your clarity of purpose. And what are your goals? What are your ultimate goals in different spheres of your life, in terms of being a family person, being an employer, being an employee, being a leader? What are your objectives, your main objectives and primary goals, and what do you want to achieve? And that kind of gives you, it becomes a North Star and guides you in times of uncertainty, and you come back to it and remember, who you are and where you're going. So that's really important. Another thing is psychological flexibility. And this means that, this is a situation, this is a kind of a mindset or a mindset where you experience the present moment fully without defense. So no matter what the world kind of throws at you, whether one day suddenly you can't go out, just like what happened with the pandemic. Within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what happened in 2020, within a couple of months, the whole world was locked down, flights were grounded, people were not allowed to get out of their homes, education and schooling was now going to be online. There's so many changes in the way that we're going to live our lives. But psychological flexibility enables us to suffer less, because we absorb what's going on, we observe what's happening fully without defense, just open to what's going on. It's almost a sense of open-mindedness. We're able to adapt to the situational demands, whatever's happening at that time, we're able to adapt to it. We reconfigure our mental resources. So we start thinking about how we're going to, use our energy, mental forces, how we're going to use our minds. Are you going to start thinking immediately about the survival, get supplies for the house, secure your kids, make sure your family is safe, your extended family. You start kind of reorganizing your mental resources so that you work on the most important things first. It enables us to shift perspective. We don't get stuck in situations where we just want things to go back to the way they were. If we keep thinking that we want things to go back to the way that we were, you can see now it really is really a waste of time and an expansion, expending resources, emotional and mental resources that really are going to be wasted, because this pandemic was supposed to last 6 months. So we thought it was supposed to last a couple of months after we start masking and even get vaccinated after a year. But this hasn't happened. So when you have a psychological, a mindset that is flexible, you have psychological flexibility, you're able to understand that nothing really is in your control in terms of the outside environment. And then you're able to reorganize yourself and you attend to the issues that are most pressing in your life based on your vision and ideals. So your psychological flexibility will be based on the clarity of the purpose that you have. So you will not be kind of shaken by what's going on around you. You will remember why you're doing what you're doing, kind of what your goals are, and then reorganize yourself in the new environment and the resources you have and the energy that you have and the obligations that you have to now fit into the new reality. So that's why it's so important to have psychological flexibility. The other thing is courage, and courage really is a doorway to change. Remember, when we're talking about fear, we're saying everything you want is on the other side of fear. And how we get that is through courage. You know, we have to have the willingness to fail. We have to, when we set our goals and we set our purpose, we have to have the willingness to fail, the willingness to try new things, the guts to defend our ambitions, to defend our vision, even if it doesn't make sense to anybody else, to defend our positions, and fight for what we believe in and what we really want to achieve and the kind of vision that we have. So courage really is an important strategy of dealing with the blocks, because if you face fear, you face doubt, and you just say, I'm going to do it anyway, then you are going to be, that bravery is going to take you to the other side, where you now learn new skills, learn new competencies, and then expand and grow. And that is where creativity and innovation then flourishes. Another thing is really investing in yourself. In as much as you do have a clarity of your purpose and goals, and you have the psychological flexibility and courage, you really need to put your money where your mouth is. And this could be in terms of resources per se, in terms of time, in terms of skills, investing in a coach, investing in a mentor, investing in opportunities for growth and learning, really putting yourself out there. It's really important, because once you expose yourself to new environments, to new people, to new ways of thinking, then you find yourself growing, you find yourself expanding and finding yourself in situations that you would not have imagined. And definitely, if a year ago, even 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic, if you really took an opportunity to say, well, I'm going to learn online, I'm going to take the time to learn a new skill, spend more time with loved ones, no matter what kind of investment, depending on the area of your goals that you want to focus on, you will come out of it on the other side having grown and having acquired something new, whether it's a better relationship, whether it's a new business, whether it's a career growth or a new skill or new capabilities. That investment is necessary, and that's where the action comes in. Another way to expand your mindset and to deal with blocks is peak experiences. Is really kind of putting yourself, immersion in new experiences. You know, it's mental or physical exertion outside of your comfort zone. So for instance, there was a time in my life when I was dealing with a very tough work environment. I used to travel about 3 out of 4 weeks in a month. And it was in different African countries, different experiences. It was a really tough job. And I remember when I would come back home, or even when I would travel, I'd make sure I find a CrossFit center. And I would go there at 5 a.m. in the morning. And trust me, when CrossFit is like a very intensive fitness program or kind of community. And I would do that very early in the morning, because I kind of hated waking up really early, no matter where I was, and then go and really push my body and push my mind. And so by the time I'm getting to a tough work environment, that's really the last thing on my mind. I really punished myself in the morning. And I've really gone through it. So by the time I'm facing resistance, I'm actually really calm and centered, because I've had a rough time before, a few hours before. So when you put yourself in those kinds of you create hostile situations, or you create adversity for yourself, whether it's climbing a mountain, learning how to play the guitar or the piano or the violin, whatever, learning something new really pushes your limits, mental or physical limits. Your brain and your mind can't tell the difference between that and a tough work environment. You just feel that, you know what, I can do hard things, and I've done hard things. And so you're able then to adapt and kind of still center yourself and work through those challenging situations, because you have told yourself, you have taught yourself that you can actually do hard things, you know? And so the last thing I want to talk about is pathways, new pathways of thinking. And this is really about creating multiple avenues, you know, for you to arrive at your desired destination. It's really about strategic and adaptive thinking in times of uncertainty. So, for instance, if I have a vision of really contributing to improving lives through education, and that is something that I've been very passionate about from the very beginning. I mean, when I started my career, and when ever since I kind of left Baruch, and I deliberately went into higher education. But then, of course, the pandemic hit, and the way that we teach changed. So now it's about how do I still change lives through education? And of course, online education is a big deal. And then my environment is very different in terms of access to internet connectivity, consistent internet connectivity, and as you can see, power outages. So then it's how do I still serve the people I need to serve, considering the context I'm in, and still achieve my goals. So different pathways of achieving what we want to achieve based on our goals and our purpose is what we call create new pathways of thinking, creating new pathways of achieving your stated objectives. So when you find yourself in a situation where things aren't working out as exactly as you thought they should or they could, then you have to be adaptive and strategic. And this is a skill that you can actually learn. And when you invest in yourself, you invest in new skills, you expose yourself to new environments, you definitely will find yourself thinking of new ways, creative ways and innovative ways of achieving the goals that you have set for yourself. So you can see that there's a quote that says that when you stretch your mind to new experiences, you can never go back to who you used to be. And so definitely, if we kind of embody and even implement some of these strategies of dealing with mindset blocks, or strategies to improving the way that we see the world and the way that we face challenges, then definitely your mind will be expanded, and you cannot go back to who you used to be. It's not possible. Yeah. So in conclusion, I really want to talk about the top 3 mindset strengthening rituals that I have seen to be very effective. There are many, there are a couple, including diet and exercise, but I just want to talk about 3. And mindful meditation is one of them. I know meditation has been spoken about a lot, and there's a lot of meditation apps. But what meditation does, I would say one of the main benefits of meditation, mindful meditation especially, is that it enables us to quiet the mind. We're able to unify the mind. In this world, there's so many things we're thinking about. There's so many things that are occupying our brain space. But through meditation, you're able to really focus and have one mind. And that's very vital and very important for us to engage in the world effectively and competently and without stress. You know, another thing that it does, it enables us to observe our thinking, and especially mindful meditation, because it enables us to observe our thoughts and enables us to see the patterns that our thoughts take. And then we can actually learn how to stop negative thinking well before it causes us to take action. We are able to catch it before it causes us to take action. So I find that mindful meditation, especially during stressful times, and even generally as a well-being habit, is really powerful. Another thing is journaling. Journaling enables us to kind of have a mental mind dump of the things that are occupying our mind, especially in times of uncertainty and anxiety or stress. When you write down all the things that are bothering you, it kind of opens up, or even all the things that you're looking forward to, excited about, nervous about, it opens up our minds to other, it enables us to kind of dump all that on a piece of paper. And when you do that, your mind believes it has actually handled those situations. You should try it. So once you've done it, it's almost as if you've already tackled them. And so you can free up brain space for other things that are more pressing in your day-to-day living. So journaling gives you the ability to let go of the things that would normally occupy your mind and keep on running across your mind the whole day, and gives you space to do other things. It really is amazing. And it also gives you an opportunity to reflect on the things that matter to you consistently over time, or it helps you stay focused on your goals. And it also helps you, watch yourself, catch yourself when you're really spiraling into a lot of, healthy mind habits, or even healthy habits generally. The last thing I want to talk about is a guided mental diet. You really have to watch what goes through the mind. And this is the things that you watch on TV, the books you read, the people you hang out with, what you expose yourself to. Are you exposing yourself to a lot of criticism, negativity, and, just unpleasantness? When you really have to refuel your mind with the things that will give you power and strength. And these are things that will increase feelings of wellness, increase feelings of competence, of capacity, that will enable you to feel that your world has unlimited possibilities. And this could be through podcasts, especially books that you read, and the TV or shows that you watch, or what you decide to watch on YouTube or on the TV. And even the people that you surround yourself with, the people that have the most say in your life, or the people who influence you heavily. And these people can be sought after, or they can be people that you find on the internet. So it doesn't have to be actual people who are with you. It could be other people who have a heavy influence in your life and are good for your mental health and well-being. So the mental diet is very important, because you could be doing all these other things, and yet the people who speak to you, the kind of stuff you watch on TV, the kind of things that you read, just keep on fueling feelings of scarcity, feelings of contraction, and feelings of getting stuck or being stuck in the same place. So I think that's just about it from me in terms of the strategies that I would like to recommend for strengthening your mindset this year, and the rituals or habits, that you can really put in place in your life every day. And these are only 3, but these are powerful in my opinion and from my experience. And these are things you can spend time with at least half an hour every morning, or even in the evening as well. And it would really, really change your life, because I have seen massive impact and change in people just doing this, embodying these practices and building them into their daily routines. Yeah. So that's it from me. And unfortunately, Pa is not back, but I will still switch on my camera because my battery is still strong. Yeah.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you very much. Wonderful presentation. And it's so funny that you sort of you put some of what you were talking about into practice here, since you have the external forces you can't control of power that's going on. So you've still been resilient, and we appreciate it. Great to see you again now on video.
It's back.
So oh, it's back. Wow, look at that. Excellent. So a handful of questions that came into me that I'm going to ask you about, Christina, a little bit about your presentation, a little bit about you as well. If anyone else has any additional questions, please feel free to continue to put them into the chat. We will be monitoring them. I think the first question, Christine, someone asked, it can be easy to be blind to your own mindset blocks. Is there a good way to identify them? Is this something that we should seek a mentor or a coach about? Could journaling help with that? What are some recommendations?
Yeah, identifying how you can identify your own mindset blocks. It's also, journaling can help, but mostly to identify the things that you fear, the things that identifying the things that you are hesitant to do. So you want to grow, if you're putting together your purpose and your goals, and then you identify where you want to be maybe in a year or 2 years, or how you want to grow in your career, or how you want to have be a happily married person, have children, have a family, or grow a business, whatever your objectives are, whatever your goals are, and then look at why it is not possible for you to get or achieve those goals. Why is it? What are the blocks that are getting in your way? And when you start looking at that very closely, you get to see where fear has a part to play in it, where doubt has a part to play in it, and even where you believe that you're not capable of getting the promotion, you're not capable of starting a business, or you're not capable of falling in love and finding the partner of your dreams, whatever it is that matters to you. When you set out your goals and you start trying to work towards them and see that there's a bit of resistance and blockages, then you can identify what your blocks are.
We got a question about courage. That's a big part of what we discussed here today. And what you said about courage is so true. Always easier said than done, though. Fear is always there, never really goes away. If, for example, you need to present for management or an important client, the fear will be there. What's your best advice to overcome it? How can you overcome that fear?
One of the best ways to really overcome it is to actually immerse yourself in those kinds of situations. Whether it's joining a Toastmasters club or making presentations in other places, putting yourself in an environment where you have to consistently make presentations. And definitely you will get better at it. The first time you will freeze. The second time you may get through half the slides and feel like you're fumbling through it. By the third time, you'll actually have nailed some of the things that you really wanted to accomplish. And so you will get better at it. So in anything that you feel you really can't accomplish or achieve, the more you expose yourself to it and to those kinds of opportunities, the more you get better at it. And it is true with any sport, any musical instrument, any language. Yeah.
Actually, I've heard it said that if you sort of think of it as turn your fear into excitement. So, just sort of reshaping how you view that feeling inside you. If it's fear, just say it's actually just excitement and I want to, really tackle this and immerse yourself in it, like you said.
Absolutely.
Are there any recommendations on how to get started with meditation if you have zero experience? You referenced apps. Is there one you recommend or a place to start?
I like Calm. I like Calm. So I would recommend you start with Calm. And there's a course called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction course. It's online. I think it's free, but that is also the MBSR techniques are really good for you to begin mindfulness because it's really powerful and life-changing. Yeah.
On that same thread, we got a question. What are top books or podcasts that you can recommend on this topic? Anything that comes to mind?
Okay. There's one powerful podcast, Joe Dispenza. He talks a lot about the mind and even new research about how we can actually create new versions of ourselves. So Joe Dispenza, he's on YouTube, he's gone on the Tim Ferriss show, he's gone on Tom Berlioz show, Impact Theory. So that's one of them. And then there's sports performance psychologist. It's called Michael Gervais. He's a peak performance kind of specialist. So that's also somebody else about overcoming your fear and mindset and resilience. So Michael Gervais and Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza is a bit on the his ideas are a bit, very radical, but they're amazing. But then definitely on the sports psychology side and resilience in terms of mindset and in the workplace and in other environments, Michael Gervais is great. Yeah.
Thank you. This question might sort of touch back on what we were discussing just a little while ago, but to get the abundance mindset, as you mentioned in your presentation, it takes bravery. How can you work on getting that bravery that you need to embrace that?
One thing I kind of recommend is really looking at where you are, being radically honest with where you are in your life, and then looking at where you want to go. The kind of North Star, the base of everything is your future self. Who do you envision yourself to be? And if you create a compelling future, a future where you are the best version of yourself, you are creating an impact, living your best life, happy, really genuinely happy. And then look at the difference between those two lives, your life as it is currently now and where you want to go in a year or so, or even 6 months or 3 months. And then that is where now you kind of develop the bravery or the courage to fight for what it is that you want. And this is a very powerful exercise and it's not simple. It's really to envision your future and to really see yourself growing. Sometimes people say, I remember once when I was preparing for my first job, they used to tell us in university, dress as if you've already gotten the job, dress for the job you want, not that you're a student, dress for the job you want. And so I'd really wear all these cat suits because I wanted to go to auditing firms and all that stuff. And I really actually did get into auditing firms with my skirt suits. So it really is about creating a vision that is so powerful, and you live it even when it is not obvious to you at that moment. And then you will develop the courage and the resilience to persist even when things get rough. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, a few questions about you, Christine. We got the question, how did you get into the world of coaching? How do you integrate it into your professional job?
I think I have had a family that is in education. My grandfather was a lecturer. My mother is a professor. My father runs a school. So I think education, and I've been raised around books. I always loved reading. But then and I have taught students. I teach a lot of. I've taught for over 10 years in higher education in a university. So naturally, you get to meet a lot of people, and people come to talk to you about different challenges that they're facing, whether it's professional or personal, or even related to their academics. And then I've always had a curiosity for what makes people make the decisions that they make. What makes some people really successful and some not, even if they're working just as hard. And so so because of that exposure of really working with young people and supporting professionals, and then also my curiosity, I decided to get certified and really get into coaching professionally. And it really does complement my professional life because I'm a lecturer, I teach, and I read for a living. And so my exposure to a lot of people who are looking for education, looking for ways to improve their lives, it kind of just merges with my coaching work. So it's part and parcel of it. It complements it. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, they sort of merge together, really, in a way, blend together. And since this is the EMEA network, alumni from Europe, Middle East, and Africa, we got the question, how has Nairobi been during this pandemic and currently? How are things at the moment over there?
The Omicron has really caused a lot of disruption because they're getting a lot more people contracting the virus and positive cases, but fortunately not as lethal as Delta was. So the death rate is not high, it's not rising as much. But then it's the last few years, at the beginning of 2021 and 2020, we had lockdowns and curfews, and you really couldn't move around. But things started opening up once the vaccines started being circulated, and now there's free access to vaccines all over the country. And so we are hopeful that the situation, the vaccine spread will abate, and that life can be as normal as possible, because kids have gone back to school, universities have opened, businesses are opening up, and then we have an election this year. So I guess the politicians really don't want lockdowns during an election year. So there's that too. Yeah. Well,
absolutely fascinating presentation, Christine. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Thank you to all of our alumni who joined us this afternoon, this evening, wherever you may be in the world. Really appreciate such a great and engaged group. I'm going to put in the chat the link again to our Baruch EMEA Network LinkedIn group. By all means, please join it. It's a growing group. And I wanted to ask if Janet would like to say any final remarks as we wrap up.
Christine, your content is just so rich, and despite how confident so many of us present ourselves as, we all have those fears and self-limiting beliefs, and it's great to be reminded about ways to process through them and to realize we are all human and this is all normal, and that there are ways for us to take these thoughts and feelings and turn them into action. So thank you so much for a really inspiring presentation that your students and your clients must learn so much from you. And we have done the same. In terms of looking forward, we have our Employment 2022 Roundtable taking place next Tuesday. It will be taking place at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, but those of you who register will get a copy of the video if you are living in other markets. This will be a conversation about the state of the employment marketplace, not so much about the Great Resignation or the impact of the pandemic, but rather a conversation about technology and how various forms of technology and AI are being used as part of the human resources process, and a real reflection on what the state of today's talent marketplace may be. So I hope many of you will join us. I'm adding the link to our events calendar as we have a number of other upcoming programs in February that we hope you will join us for. And then a quick announcement: in March, we typically host a focus event on the economy of a particular country. We do it on campus, and we have food from the country we focus on, and it's a wonderful, wonderful event. So we've done Brazil and China and Israel and the continent of Africa, as well as some other locations. Of course, we've had to pivot to these virtual conversations. So I am pleased to announce our country of focus will be Greece. I, for one, will bring my Greek salad to enjoy during our lunchtime program. So we look forward to having a number of our Greek alumni share their insights on Greece's economy. So save the date of March 23rd for that. And just once again, if you have an idea for a program you would like to see or you would like to present, please reach out to myself or to Greg or to Alex, or post it to the LinkedIn group, and we look forward to speaking with you about it. So thank you so much for your spending the time with us. Once again, Christine, you're a rock star. And Greg, thank you so much for taking the lead on this event. We wish you all a great evening, a great afternoon, and a great year for 2022. It's time to manifest. Let's do it.
Thank you much,
great.
everyone.
Thank you so much, Janet. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you much.
Thank
you very much. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay.